honestly. I mean, it's a school day. Honestly, today, I really just want to.
Seems like the usual Zoom bunch. So we can get started. Hopefully more people come in. Like I said, we are finishing decimals. We're not going to do decimals anymore, but we will do division, not as intense. Here we go. Today we're going to learn about the metric conversions. So the metric system, you might have heard of it if you hear about centimeters, kilometers, meters, anything that ends with meters, then you should be familiar with the metric system. Okay, and I want to refresh our memory on exponents, which you should have started in 4th grade. Does everybody remember exponents? Somewhat? Okay,
Sort
so
of.
I probably remember it if I knew what the word meant.
okay. So exponents are used to represent how many times we use the number 10 as a factor. So this exponent tells us how many zeros to write. For example, 10 to the 9th power. One second. For example, 10 to the 9th power would be written as 1 with 9 zeros. Okay, it's the same thing as multiplying 10 9 times. And on paper, if you're trying to figure that out, it would look like this. So 10 to the 9th power. So I have the number 10 to the 9th power is equal to 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So 10 to the 9th power is equal to 10 multiplied 9 times. Okay, which should equal 1, 2, 3. 1, 2,
Is this
3.
10 with 10 zeros?
Right, it should have 9 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's what happens when we have exponents that are multiples of 10. Does everyone understand? Now in regular exponents, let's say 25 to the 3rd power. What would that equal in this way? 25 to the 3rd power. What should I write to figure it out?
3 times 20, no, 25 times 25 times, no, yeah, 20 times 25.
Yeah, good, Amari. 25 to the 3rd power is 25 times 25 times 25. Okay. So I just wanted to review exponents because it's important. But today we're going to deal more with this kind of thing because we're going to deal with the metric system, which has to do with multiples of 10. So let's go back. Okay, so again, the exponent, how many times we multiply by 10. 10 to the 2nd power is 100 because it's the same thing as 10 times 10. 10 to the 3rd power is 1,000 because it's 10 times 10 times 10. And 10 to the 4th power is 10,000 because it's the same thing as 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Notice There are 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. The exponent is 4, and watch, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. There are many patterns when we work with multiples of 10. So something to remember is that when we use the place value table, when we move to the left, because the numbers, and I think you guys see me pointing to the right, but I'm pointing to the left. When you move to the left of the place value table, you're increasing. That means your exponent is increasing, right? 1 is equal to 10 times more than 1. The hundreds place is 10 multiplied 2 times, right? So each place value, we're increasing the exponent. Right? The tens is 10 times larger than the ones. The hundreds is 10 times larger than the tens. The thousands is 10 times larger than the thousands, and so on. Any questions on that? Okay. The reason why I'm going over this is because I want you to think of things being 10 times larger or 10 times smaller than the quantities. Okay. So today we're going to be using everything we know about place value, multiplying and dividing decimals and exponents to help convert measurements. We're only going to be talking about metric units of length. And I just want to remind you this. Remember when we were dividing decimals, how we move the point, how we move the decimal point, depending how many times we multiply by 10, right? It's the same concept as this. When we move to the right, we're coming down 10 more each place value, and we're going up, we are multiplying 10 more. So it's the same here, right? We're going down in place value, we're multiplying, we're dividing 10. And when we are going to a larger number, then we are going 10 times larger. Questions? This is all gonna make sense very soon. And what this is saying here is that when we divide decimals by 10, the decimal point moves to the right. When we, dividing decimals by 10, we move the decimal point 1 place to the left, and you can go back here and remember. When we divide decimals by 100, we move the decimal point 2 places to the left, as we did when we were dividing. And when we divide decimals by 1,000, we move the decimal point 3 places to the left.
So is it basically like when you have, so it's exponent, but so regular multiplication is repeated addition, and then
Yes.
exponent is repeated multiplication.
By the same number.
Yeah, so it's like a step up.
Exactly. And the important thing to remember in this specific slide is that when you are increasing, or you're going to the left, you are dividing. You see that? Dividing, move 1 place to the left. Divide by 100, move 2 places to the left. Dividing by 1,000, move 3 places to the left. Okay, so what do you think will happen when we move to the right? Are we gonna divide or multiply?
Multiply.
Exactly. Okay, so convert means to change from one form or unit to another, right? If I have something, so for example, here, if I measure this in centimeters, This is a bad example because it's too small. This futon, right? A futon can convert from a couch to a bed, right? That's what converting means, to change from one to another. And you'll see, I don't want to go into it now. I'm going to go into it right now, like with the other slides. Okay, so you have all seen this in a classroom before. Have you all seen this, yes or no? Unmute your mics. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
This is a meter stick. The length of a meter stick is 1 meter. That's why it's called a meter stick. We can also write that as 1 m. But there are more metric units of length that use the term meter. So a meter stick is 1 meter in length. How many meters would you have if you had 2 meter sticks?
2 meters.
Exactly. What about if you had 100 meter sticks?
100 meters.
Very good. So we already know a meter, and there is also a kilometer or kilometer or millimeter. We also have centimeter. Well, all of these lengths go in a specific order, and we're going to try to put them together from smallest to largest. So as you can see here, the smaller is on the left and the larger on the right. So the millimeter is the smallest. The centimeter is the one that follows the
Kilometer and then meter.
meter and then kilometer. And you're gonna see why soon. And it's gonna be easy for you to know this order. So millimeter, centimeter, meter, kilometer. Let's see what that means. Converting metric units, it's a little similar to moving place values on the value chart. But there are some big differences, and this is because each unit is not equally distant to the unit next to it. It means that we can't really measure millimeters with centimeters, right? We have to convert it. So 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter, is equal to 1 centimeter. 10 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. And 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So remember what a meter is. So if you have 1,000 of these, that's 1 kilometer. If you have 100 of these, that is I don't know if there's none for that. No, a centimeter is smaller than 1 meter. So kilometer is when you have 100 of those. Okay. This is easy. Right now it's confusing, but you're gonna get it at the end. You will see. Okay, 10 millimeters equals to 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters, 1 meter. 1,000 millimeters, 1 meter. 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. So let's watch this. Let me stop sharing.
This is the checkers game where grandson and granddad will bond.
I want to stay at a VRBO rental now.
What did you say, Daniel?
I said, no, I want to stay at a VRBO rental now.
A millimeter you can understand is about as long as a grain of sand. When you buy food at lunchtime, it's about the thickness of a dime.
A staple from side to side is about a centimeter wide. A fingernail
Okay. Did that clear out some of your questions?
They said it way too fast for me to understand.
He said it way too fast. Okay. So the point of it and the very important thing is that you understand what something that we can measure with millimeters. 1 millimeter is about the grain of sand, right? Then we learned that a marble is a centimeter. So 10 millimeters or 10 grains of sand, right, would equal 1 centimeter. Then centimeters, 100 centimeters would be 1 meter. And then 100 meters is 1 kilometer. I mean, 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. Okay. All right, let's take a brain break. I want you to get a piece of paper and a pencil right now.
Hey, is there a paper, like a Google Doc that you could make, or and like post it in the stream, and then like we print it out so we can like study it, so we figure out like one of these.
You can print out the Google slides.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna post a conversion table. All right, so if you have a paper and a pencil, I want you to show me the pencil's tip. For those of you who have the pencil tip. Right. My pencil. Here's my pencil tip. Okay. Do you think I can measure my pencil tip in centimeters or millimeters?
Millimeters.
Millimeters.
What about from here to here? Millimeters or centimeters?
Centimeters.
Okay. And if I wanted to measure my pencil, can I measure it in meters?
No.
What would you measure it with?
Centimeters.
Good. What about my desk? What can I
Meters.
my desk with?
Meters.
Okay. What about that shelf?
Kilometers.
Meters.
Yeah, meters.
Meters. Okay. What about the distance between Saluda and Polk Central?
Kilometers.
Kilometers.
Okay, good.
Kilometers.
And so we want to convert when I'm trying to figure out. All right. So let's say it takes 3 kilometers to get to Polk Central. That's not true. But let's say it takes 3 kilometers. How many centimeters would that be? And that's where we need to learn how to convert. Okay, or
Say it again. I wasn't listening because I was writing something down.
all right, so let's say that I'm trying to get to Polk Central and it's 3 kilometers away, which is not true. It's not 3 kilometers, but I want to know how many centimeters is that? And that's where conversion comes into play, right? Well, maybe I don't want to know how many centimeters this pencil is. I want to know how many millimeters it is. So that's when conversion comes into play. I want you to draw in your paper, the one you took, something that we can measure in millimeters. One thing that we can measure in centimeters. Okay, so let's go first. Something we can measure in millimeters. Draw something right now in that paper and show us.
I'm confused on millimeters. I know what a centimeter is.
So it says we can, a grain of sand is a millimeter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is, Javen. Good. Here, I think I'll be able to measure this line in millimeters. Or
You could use millimeters with that line.
maybe this little detail in my glasses.
Those are about 1 centimeter, just a little
I
bit.
think I've got one.
I'm not sure if it'll make this.
It's hard to see, but
Uh-huh.
it's like when you have a book and it's the hardcover and it's like the side of it, like not small, but like the
Okay.
smaller part.
So
when
you would
open-
measure that in millimeters?
Probably.
Okay. What can you measure with a meter? Draw something you can measure with the meter.
A disc.
Okay, so for meters, I did my mom's stove. The little squibbles were like heat waves.
Okay.
1 second. I'm trying to get it into the camera.
Okay.
See it?
Yep. Good.
I
Sophia.
I drew like a globe map thing. It's not the globe, but it's like a map. of the
Okay.
globe, those
A
little
big map.
ones.
We can use meters. Yeah. A big map.
For my
What?
kilometers, I drew a road.
Uh-huh.
My millimeters, I drew a grain of sand.
Uh,
For meters, I drew a desk. And for centimeters, I drew a pencil.
good.
For meters, I drew a human. Because
Ah, yes. Yes.
this is not centimeters.
Yes, we can measure ourselves in meters. All right, so I think we get it, right? Which one's smaller, which one's next, up until kilometers. And remember, the question of conversion comes up when we have, when I'm trying to figure out how many centimeters are in 3 kilometers or how many meters are in 3 kilometers, right? Or the opposite, how many millimeters are in a centimeter or something like that. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, so how do we do this thing? How do we convert metric units? We use the same rules we just learned when multiplying or dividing by powers of 10. When we multiply, the decimal moves to the right. When we divide, the decimal moves to the left. Where does the decimal move when we multiply?
To the right.
And the left, we
Divide.
divide. Okay. So when we are going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, which means my kilometers into meters, right? We must I'm sorry, my meters into kilometers, we must divide by powers of 10. The decimal points will move to the left. Okay, or when we're trying to go from a larger unit to a smaller unit, like from kilometers to meters, then we multiply by powers of 10. Do you see that? And you might have to go to this chart for the activity until you're gonna memorize this. So for example, 52 and 610 times 10 to the third power, right? The decimal point, the exponent tells us how many zeros there will be. Since the exponent is 3, there will be 3 zeros. So 52 and 6/10. One second. Times 1,000. The zeros also tell us how many place values we will move. Since there are 3 zeros, we will move 3 place values. Can you guys hear me? The sound is a little off.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, since we're multiplying, we're moving the decimal to the right. Multiplying to the right, multiplying to the right, dividing to the left, dividing to the left. All right, so let's convert 2 meters to centimeters. First, we figure out if you're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. We're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so we will multiply, but by how much? Let's look at our chart. Going from meters to centimeters, we have to multiply by 100. So finally, we count the zeros, 2 zeros in 100. So we move the decimal point 2 place values to the right. So if I had the number 2 and we move the 2 place values to the right, we would have 200 centimeters. Now let me show you what that looks like for you on paper. We have 2 centimeters and we're trying to figure out how many meters. Okay, and I know that to go from centimeters to meters, I have to multiply by 100 because there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So 2 times 100, we move the decimal point to the right. So 1 and 2, so that is 200 meters. Okay, I multiply by 100 because there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, right? 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. Please look at this and ask questions.
So this is basically decimals. Just
Yeah, but we're just really moving the decimal point because we're working with multiples of 10.
so basically, if we had to move it 100 times, then we would move it twice, right?
Yep, however many zeros you have.
Because when you have the hundredths place on the chart, it's 2 places over.
Mm-hmm.
And the thousands are 3 places over.
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 place over.
If meters are bigger than centimeters, then how did 2 centimeters equal 200 meters?
2 centimeters doesn't equal 100 meters, right? We're multiplying 1 centimeter. I'm sorry. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Okay, so we just figured out that 200, you're right, 200 2 centimeters is not 200 meters. I think it's 200 centimeters. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Let me just see. 2 centimeters. Yeah, I meant 2 meters, right? That's what we were trying to turn. 2 meters, how many centimeters? Thanks, Sophia. Centimeters. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, 2 meters, how many centimeters? We multiply by 100, and so we have 2 centimeters. Okay, next one, let's do another one. Okay, yep, 2 meters equals 200 centimeters. What do you think 3 meters will be?
300
centimeters.
Good. And so on. Okay, so here when we have decimals, convert 1 and 25 meters to a millimeter. First, we figure out that we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, or from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So from meters to millimeter, are we going to a smaller or larger unit? We're going from meters to millimeters.
smaller.
We're going from a big to small. Okay, let me change my page. So meters to millimeters. Okay, and can you guys see my screen? Yes. But we have to figure out by how much we are multiplying. So going from meters to centimeters, we multiply by 100. And going from centimeters to millimeters, we multiply by 10. We can add up all the zeros. All together, we have 3 zeros in 1,000. We move the decimal point 3 places value to the right. So since we're moving, we're making 2 jumps. We have to take the zeros from 100 and from 10. Is that understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We're taking it from 100 and from 10, which is really the same as 1,000. It also has 3 zeros. So to go from meters to millimeters, we have to multiply by 1,000. I'm just writing it down so I can show you. And since there are 3 zeros in 1,000, we move the decimal point 3 place values to the right because we are going from a larger to a smaller unit. So that is 1 and 25 meters. 2 times 1,000 is equal to, let me show you my view, right? We move the decimal point how many times?
Twice.
3 times, I
3
think.
times. And that means there's going to be a 0. So that is 1, 2, 5, 0 millimeters. 1,250 millimeters. So if you have 1,250 millimeters, it is the same as having 1 and 2/2500 of a meter. Okay, now let's try one on your own. So you can ask all the questions that you need to ask before you go completely on your own. Okay. I mean, we can go over and over, but I just want you to try one. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up your textbook. We're going to use your textbook